Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. There is not a whole lot of news on the Ukrainian front lines right now, but there is some developments around Bakhmut, which involves the town of Krasnohora. Most of the town appears to have been captured by Russian forces, except for this area right here. This area appears to be some kind of gray zone or unknown, couldn't be mapped out. But it appears that Ukrainians have withdrawn from this town, and this is putting increasing pressure on Paraskolivka, this area right here, which the Russians need to capture in order to push down the western outskirts of Bakhmut and encircle the city. And moving to the south of Bakhmut, it appears that Wagner forces have cut off the TO-504 highway right here near the town of Chasiv Yar and Stupotsky, and are putting increasing pressure on Ivanenske. And other than that, there is some news around the northern region up here, the northern Kharkiv region, which is that Dovice and Leman Parshie have been, I believe this town has been recently captured by the Russians. Or maybe it could have been that I forgot to map it out. Maybe they might have captured it a while ago, actually, and I forgot to map it out, so that's a bit of a correction. But they have recently captured this area right over here to the west, just to the west of the Oskil River. So that is a little bit of a smaller update on this front. There is some action and engagements on this part of the front line here. The last time I marked that Belohurivka might have been under Russian control. It appears that that is not the case. It appears that this town is still under Ukrainian control. And the Russians have made some headway west of Blahodatne and are trying to cut off the E40 highway right here and put pressure under this highway. They have actually captured this part of Bakhmut south of Paraskolivka to the north here, and have captured this area, cutting off this road completely. And other than that, they are just slowly but surely advancing towards Bakhmut. The Ukrainians have said that they are not going to withdraw. Zelensky says that Bakhmut is a fortress and that they are going to hold on till the very last. So it is going to be maybe something similar to Mariupol, where the Russians are going to have to attempt to encircle the city and then slowly clear it out. Or maybe it'll be a Sverodonetsk, where they'll get close to encirclement, but the Ukrainians will finally allow a retreat out of the city. And other than that, I have made some corrections to the west of Donetsk. The front line has been corrected. The Russians were not this far into Pivominske. I put them around here, but they weren't actually that far. It appears they have been pushed back since the last time I updated this region, and they are more out of... They've pushed further out from these two towns in order to appear. So that's about it for the frontline updates for Ukraine. Not a whole lot, just more grueling, grinding warfare around Bakhmut to try and dislodge the Ukrainian defenders from the city. So we're going to move over to the international news. And a very interesting statement from the head of Wagner, Prigozhin. He, in an interview, said that Russia could take up to 2 years to capture the eastern regions of Ukraine. Here we go. The head of Russia's Wagner mercenary group said in a rare interview that it could take 2 years for Moscow to control the whole of the 2 eastern Ukrainian regions, whose capture it has stated is a key goal of the war. Prigozhin said that he understands Russia's plan was that they needed to fully control Donetsk and Luhansk regions that Moscow later claimed as republics of Russia in a move condemned by most countries. As far as I understand, we need to close off the Donetsk and Luhansk republics in a principle that will suit everyone for now, he told the Russian military blogger Pergov in a video published on Friday, aka War Gonzo. Some of you who have been following other channels covering the war in Ukraine might have heard War Gonzo as a source. That's a frequently used source. So, but this is a very interesting interview. He said that it could take 1 to 1.5 to 2 years. So it could take a year, 1.5 years, or up to 2 years even to take this area back from Ukraine because of how slow the front line is moving right now. And obviously the front line has looked like this for, months now, and it's from a strategic perspective, the front line hasn't changed. You have to really zoom in to see the front line changing. It's a slow war, so it's going to take Russia at this rate a long time in order to fully capture the Donetsk Oblast. And I believe Russia has said that it's willing to fight for a long time and stuff. So this war could be going on for quite a while unless the international community gets together and actually prepares peace talks between the two, which is difficult to do at the moment. But this is a very interesting interview. I suggest that you read this article on your own. Moving down to Moldova. The Moldovan government has actually resigned recently. Moldova's pro-Western government resigned on Friday after a turbulent 18 months in power marked by economic turmoil and spillover effects of the war in Ukraine. The president accepted the prime minister's resignation and nominated a 48-year-old presidential aide and former interior minister to replace her. So this is a government sort of crisis almost in Moldova. A lot of pressure on the Moldovan government right next to Ukraine. Of course, they have to deal with the Transnistrian breakaway state, and as well as general just poverty and corruption. So he's expected quickly to win parliamentary approval. Said he would press on Moldova's bid to join the European Union and revive the economy. So Moldova still has a pro-Western, pro-European Union government, but it's looking like there are going to be a lot of challenges in dealing with corruption and a lot of other issues that they have to deal with. So very interesting article. Again, I don't have enough time to read every single article throughout the whole thing, but I really highly suggest that you do. The map is in the description, and you can actually read these articles for yourself. And I highly recommend that you do that if you have the time, of course. In other news, next almost bordering Poland, just one country over. We have Moldova's almost bordering Poland, one country over. I said that in a very strange way. But anyways, Biden is planning to travel to Poland to mark 1 year since the invasion of Ukraine. He's to travel on February the 20th through the 22nd. Jean-Pierre said that Biden will deliver remarks ahead of the 1 year anniversary, which will involve addressing how the United States has rallied the support of the world to the people of Ukraine as they defend their freedom and democracy, and how they will continue to stand with the people of Ukraine for as long as it takes. There's another statement that is commonly said by the current American administration a lot, is that they're going to support Ukraine for however long it takes. So, and it does, and I do believe them, and I think that it would make sense from a geopolitical perspective. It just makes sense to continue to support Ukraine, but continuing to support Ukraine and propping up Ukraine militarily and economically does also have the effect of prolonging the war. But, you know, if you are a foreign policy official, sort of say, then you would want Ukraine to retake as much of its territory back as possible and drive the Russians out as much as you can. So it does make sense why they would want the war to continue on, so that Ukraine has a more of a chance to recapture its former territories. So we are going to move on to the continental United States, and we are going to talk about the Chinese surveillance balloon, or spy balloon as it's been called. I got quite a bit of info here. So the United States shot down a Chinese spy balloon that flew over the entire mainland United States, and they shot it down over the coast of South Carolina. An F-22 Raptor shot down the balloon, which is actually the first air-to-air kill an F-22 Raptor has ever achieved. That's the first air-to-air kill by an F-22 Raptor, which is a bit funny that it's a balloon. But anyways, but the United States, according to CNN, says that the spy balloons are part of a broader Chinese military surveillance operation. U.S. intelligence officials believe that the recently recovered Chinese spy balloon is a part of an extensive surveillance program ran by the Chinese military, according to multiple American officers familiar with the intelligence. The surveillance program, which includes a number of similar balloons, is part run out of a small Chinese province of Hainan, officials tell CNN. The U.S. does not know the precise size of fleet of the Chinese surveillance balloons, but sources tell CNN that the program has conducted at least 24 missions at least 5 continents in recent years. Many of these balloons, there were balloons spotted over South America and over India. At least those are some of the... I know I've seen articles about South America and India, so I'm not entirely sure what is the point of this from the Chinese perspective, because wouldn't it be simpler to... Well, I think if you're going to do that and take pictures, I think one of the things that it did is that it might have taken pictures. Some people have speculated that it could be some kind of communications interception device. We don't really know for sure the specific purpose of the balloon yet, but hopefully we will know soon. Anyways, roughly half a dozen of these flights have been within U.S. airspace, although not necessarily over U.S. territory, according to one officer, or official, but intelligence officer, intelligence official. So this is a very interesting development. I've waited a little bit because last episode we had the we knew about the Chinese spy balloon, but I decided to wait a little bit for more information to cover this. So it would appear that this is sort of like a Gary Francis Powers sort of equivalent. If you don't know, Gary Francis Powers flew a U-2 spy plane from Pakistan over the Soviet Union, and he was detected and shot down within Soviet territory around the Ural Mountains. So, which, you know, obviously caused a lot of tension between the USSR and the United States, even more so. So this appears to be something equivalent, although obviously this is an unmanned flight. This is not a manned flight, so it's a bit of a different situation, but still I think it's a adequate comparison. A lot of people have been, you know, throwing around the term Cold War II or the Second Cold War between the United States and China. And I don't agree with that term, because I don't think that I don't think that the rivalry between the United States and China is equivalent to the Cold War. However, I do think that a more accurate term would be something akin to just great power politics. Because Russia and China are allies, but they're allies of circumstance. They're not allies because of, you know, of real, like, genuine, like, a real genuine friendship. Sort of like the United Kingdom and the United States. They're more allies because they both are against the Western world order. They have conflicting interests in Central Asia as a big example of their... that has caused a lot of tension between their alliance as an example, so... And the United States and its allies also have had some tension, like between the United States and India. Although they are allies, but they have tension, and they're not, you know, perfect allies. So I think great power politics is a better example than a Cold War between between a new East and West. But anyways, we are going to wrap it up here shortly. The House obviously unanimously approves a resolution condemning China for the spy balloon. No, there's no surprise there. And a Air Force general said that the United States has actually failed to detect previous spy balloons. So incidents like this have actually happened before. It's not the first time this happened. But the United States has failed to detect a lot of these in the past, and so he is saying that there was an awareness gap, that the United States had an intelligence failure to detect these spy balloons, but he said that they are going to be, you know, working on it and to try and increase their intelligence capabilities to prevent something like this from happening ever again. And a unidentified object flying over Alaska was shot down on the 10th. Another U.S. F-22 on Friday shot an unidentified flying object over Hawaii, but it's not confirmed whether this was a balloon or not. But it was obviously an unmanned vessel, so this is a very interesting development in the world of aviation and in the world of geopolitics, but you know, a lot of new tension over this, as well as we reported previously, you know, the so-called chip wars for microprocessors, the sanctions and embargoes of manufacturing equipment and whatnot. Now this is another new source of tension between the United States and China. So it appears that it just feels like every other month there's something new between the United States and China, further straining their relations. So we're going to wrap up here with North Korea with their annual military parade that they held on the 9th. And they showed off the largest ever number of nuclear missiles at their nighttime parade on the 9th. A nuclear-armed North Korea showcased its missile production muscle during a nighttime parade, state media reported on Thursday, deploying more intercontinental ballistic missiles than ever before and hinting at a new solid-fuel weapon. I'm not so familiar with the technical aspects of ICBM, so I'm not really sure what a solid-fuel weapon would mean. I know I've heard the term solid fuel before, but you know, you're going to have to go elsewhere for more information on that, unfortunately. But anyways, it appears that North Korea is continuing to increase its missile production, trying to obviously get the best missiles and nuclear weapons it can, the most technologically developed. That's what its primary focus is. And there is there's an excellent podcast called The Red Line, and they did a video or a podcast about North Korea. It's an excellent podcast, and in particular that episode I found was very, very great. So I highly recommend you check it out. And I'll leave a link in the description to the episode, actually, because it is a fantastic podcast, and anybody who's interested in geopolitics must listen to it. It's just absolutely fantastic. So I think that is everything in terms of geopolitics. This isn't really geopolitics, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. But obviously the earthquake in Turkey and in Syria, the death toll has risen above 25,000. And they're still trying to find people and rescue them. I will leave a link to the Red Crescent in the description of this video, just in case you wanted to donate to the cause here. And the international support has been, it's been crazy to witness just the amount of countries that have sent support to Turkey. Just if you go on the Wikipedia article for it, just a ton of countries from all over the world sending support, so that's awesome to see. The international community getting together and trying to help countries and people in a time of crisis like this. So that is going to be it for this episode. I hope you found this video informative. If you have any thoughts or opinions of your own, or anything you would like to criticize constructively, please leave it in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.